Good evening. My name is Doug Wolf. I am from the class of '88, and I am the president of the Columbia College Alumni Association. It is my great pleasure to introduce our dinner cheers for this evening's event, the Alexander Hamilton Dinner. Bill Campbell, Lanny Brewer, Jonathan Levine, Jonathan Schiller. On behalf of the Alumni Association and the college, thank you all for being here tonight to help us celebrate one of our finest leaders with the Alexander Hamilton Award. Under the leadership of Dean James Valentini, the Columbia College Alumni Association is pursuing a variety of initiatives to deepen the engagement of our alumni, build connections, instill pride in our collective experiences, and recognize the remarkable accomplishments of our community members. The Alexander Hamilton Award is presented by the Columbia College Alumni Association for distinguished service to Columbia, as well as accomplishment in any field of endeavor. It is considered the highest tribute paid to a member of the Columbia College community, and we are so very pleased this evening to honor Eric Holder with the Alexander Hamilton Medal. To everyone who supported this evening's dinner, please accept my sincere thanks, especially for the Platinum and Gold Crown Table supporters, Bill Campbell, Cheryl and Phil Milstein, Mark and Anla Chang Kingdon, Jonathan and Jeannie Levine, Richard and Lisa Witten. And now I'd like to introduce the chair of Columbia University Trustees and another great Columbia leader, Jonathan Schiller, college class of 1969 and law school class of '73. Jonathan Schiller is a co-founder and managing partner of Boyes, Schiller, and Flexner. Jonathan has been recognized as one of the leading lawyers in America. Jonathan received the Alexander Hamilton Medal in 2012 and the John Jay Award in 2006. If those accomplishments were not enough, Jonathan was a member of the 1967-1968 Ivy League Championship basketball team and inducted to the Columbia University Athletic Hall of Fame in February 2006. Jonathan.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug, and good evening, everyone, and thank you for participating in this wonderful celebration. It's common, I know, to be told that every event you go to is special. But tonight, in fact, that is true. And it is special because of the man we're honoring, General Holder. Not since Dwight Eisenhower was given this award in 1963 have we celebrated a Columbian who has held such high office in Washington, D.C., and done so much to shape our nation's future. The two men are different. They're from different eras, and they hail from different parts of the country. Eisenhower was from Abilene, Texas, Eric from Queens, but they have several things in common. Both are dedicated athletes. Eric's prowess was on the basketball court, where he had a sweet jump shot and sharp elbows. Ike's prowess as a scholar was playing both football and baseball in college, but he became known to the country as a golfer, as my parents reminded me. He hit more trees than fairways. So I think, and he had trees named after him as a result. So I think Eric gets the better of him in that comparison. But there is much more serious experience shared by these two men. Serving as Attorney General of the United States, as Eric has done for the past 6 years, is truly an awesome and humbling responsibility. Every day for 6 years, his decisions, the words he spoke in public, the directives that he drafted, the advice that he gave in confidence on so many occasions to the President of the United States, carried profound consequences for the liberty, the security, and the well-being of all of us in the United States and the world at large. I believe practicing attorneys have a special appreciation, as I do, for the rigors of this unique job. The federal government's legal authority is immense, and it must be used judiciously. But you do not have to be a practicing lawyer to appreciate that the responsibilities shouldered by this Attorney General demand a level of fortitude and resolve that few possess. I simply want to say that I am personally grateful for Eric Holder's extraordinary service to President Obama and our nation. Thank you, Eric. As all of you know who are here tonight, the proceeds from this dinner directly benefit our college students by supporting Columbia College, the core curriculum, and financial aid. There's no more important priorities for Columbia, for you, than to be supporting through your giving these important institutions. And I want to thank you again for your generosity. Tonight we have raised more than $800,000 with your support. Thank you. I would like to recognize and ask to stand before you several of my fellow trustees and trustee emeriti who have come tonight. My Vice Chair, Lilia Bundles, from Washington, D.C. My Vice Chair, Jonathan Levine, from the great state of Massachusetts. Rolando Acosta, from Washington Heights. And Joseph Greenway, who I know went to Stuyvesant before he came to Columbia. A local school. Trustee Emeritus George Van Amsen, who is so important to everything we do. And Bill Campbell's an emeritus now, but you know, he's always bigger than life. The past recipients of the Hamilton Award are here this evening, including Bill, Bob Byrne, Austin Quigley, and Phil Satow. Would you all stand, please? And finally, one of our most admired past college deans, Austin Quigley, who introduced my sons when they came to the college to the great city of New York. Austin? Thank you, and have a wonderful evening. And now, Amelia Bundles.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonathan. What a wonderful, warm room this is tonight. Love you guys. Lots of kisses being blown. Bill, because I missed Bill's dinner a couple of weeks ago. So, Bill, I have to come give you a hug a little bit later. So good evening to everyone, and good evening to my friend, the Honorable Eric Holder. First, Eric, thank you for all that you have done on so many levels. I'm here to do the toast, so that's why. So Eric, those of us who have been watching you on the public stage for the last 4 decades always knew that you were destined to play a major role in whatever arena you chose. At one time, there was a lot of speculation that you were going to run for mayor of the District of Columbia, but apparently you had your eyes on a bigger prize, and some might say that you had more sense than that, Sharon. At every step along the way, regardless of the job, you have always done it well. And you always have gone above and beyond. One former elected official in D.C. with whom I was talking the other day told me how you took the time to personally encourage the orange hat neighborhood patrols, the elderly people in the neighborhoods during the crack epidemic, and how you mentored young men. When some folks have had their feathers ruffled by your honest and frank assessment of the state of race relations in America, some of us have reveled in your courage. We have been proud that you refused to be silent or silenced. And sometimes when we suspected that you couldn't say everything that you might have wanted to say, we let our minds wander and imagined what you might have been saying. We loved that you were the law. And let me just pause for a second to ponder what that means, to ponder that things have come so full circle that the brother-in-law of Vivian Malone would become the Attorney General of the United States. We love that you remain steadfast in your quest to insist that America realized its original promise of liberty and justice for all, and that you and the President had a pact from the very beginning to work toward forming a more perfect union. I thank you for standing the storm, as the old spiritual says, for standing the storm even as the fiercest and most hateful winds were blowing, even when a new massive resistance reared up. I thank you for knowing your North Star. We know your service is not over. We know that we can count on you to use the platform that you now have to do even more. The toast to you is not just to you, but also to Sharon, my friend, who has been in the storm and who I'm sure has helped provide a buttress. There is so much more to say, but I will close with this. Thank you, Eric, for your commitment to justice and equality. Thank you for your humility. And thank you for bringing a new level of coolness to the office of the Attorney General.
Thank you. Our program will continue shortly. Thank you.
So I know what you're all thinking. I really do. I understand what you're all thinking, and I feel your pain. You're thinking, how can I differentiate them? How can I figure out the difference between our remarkable honoree tonight and Lanny Brewer? I know you're all thinking that. After all, we both came from Queens. Our former Attorney General came from East Elmhurst, and I came from Elmhurst. We both went to New York City public schools. We both obviously went to Columbia College. We both went to Columbia Law School. We both married beautiful women who went to Harvard College. We both started as prosecutors. We've both been at Covington and Burling at least twice. We both live in Washington, D.C. And as Eric will tell you, when I was lucky enough to serve as his Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division, sometimes I would forget who was the Attorney General. So here's the way to remember. He's the one with the mustache. It has been an extraordinary privilege of mine to know Eric Holder, to have him as a friend, to have him as a partner, and to have him as a boss. I first came to know Eric Holder when he was our U.S. Attorney in Washington, D.C. during the Clinton administration. And at a time when it was not vogue, our Attorney General spent countless hours dealing with our neighborhood children, with our underprivileged communities, to show that a prosecutor was more than the person who is committed to putting you in jail. Eric Holder is a man of compassion. I've seen it. He's fixated and has been throughout his career and his life on helping those who are less fortunate. He is a man of resolve, and I've seen it. He has a sense of principle and will consistently fight for that which he believes is right. He is a man of absolute decency. He's always fair. He's always balanced. He will never pile on. Eric Holder is a man of warmth. If any of you have spent any time with him, you will know he has an ability to show warmth and caring that's almost unmatched. And he is a man of integrity. He will do what is right, and I've seen it time and time again, no matter the pressure that's put on him. Eric, it has been my personal privilege to work for you. It is my privilege to be your partner, and it is my privilege to be your friend. I am better for knowing you. I am better for working with you, and it has been an inspirational and enormous part of my professional and personal life. It is now my great privilege to introduce the Dean, James J. Valentini, or Dean Teeny, as students and Eric refer to him. Dean Valentini has served as the Dean of the College and Vice President for Undergraduate Education since September of 2011 and has been a member of Columbia's faculty since 1990. Before becoming Dean, he served as chair of the Chemistry Department and director of Chemistry Department's undergraduate student and studies program. Dean Valentini oversees the college curriculum, which of course includes our beloved core curriculum, as well as the academic and administrative services and policies that contribute to undergraduate experience in life, inside and outside of the classroom. His central focus is supported and supports the development of the college and our college students so that our college students have the greatest undergraduate experience. Dean Valentini earned his PhD in chemistry from the University of California at Berkeley and completed his doctoral work at Harvard. His research, and I've worked on this part, his research is focused on chemical reaction dynamics and the spectroscopy of molecular transients. And by the way, the Dean and I have spoken about that so much, he will tell you, I have been his crutch. And he has published more than 100 academic papers and been named a fellow in both the American Association for the Advancement of Science and the American Physical Society. It's a great day to honor Eric Holder, and it's a great day for me to honor and welcome and introduce our Dean.
Thank you, Lonnie, for that introduction. When you were going through the list of all those similarities between you and Eric, I was thinking, I am none of those things, I have none of those things. So you could have just said, he's none of those things, and that would have been an adequate introduction. Good evening and welcome. Before I say a few words about Eric Holder, our honoree, I want to acknowledge some people in the room. First, I want to thank our trustees and the members of the Columbia College Board of Visitors who are here tonight and have supported tonight's event, and most especially the president of the university. I also want to acknowledge my fellow deans who are in attendance tonight: David Madigan, Carlos Alonso, Mary Boyce, Lee Goldman, Jillian Lester, and Jason Wingard, leaders of so many parts of our great university. In addition, I want to recognize my predecessors, Deans Emeriti of Columbia College, who are here tonight. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to celebrate our distinguished faculty. Please join me in a round of applause for all that they do for our students. And I want to recognize our students in the room as well. They are our future. It's trite, perhaps, to say, but it is true. And someday in the future, they will be occupying the seats that you are occupying in a way of supporting our great institution. Some time ago, I visited Eric Holder in his office in the headquarters of the Department of Justice in Washington. Within the Department of Justice building is a great library, and a very distinguished library. But what was most notable to me when I visited it was that it has a magnificent series of murals titled Man's Struggle for Justice, painted by Maurice Stern in the 1930s. The murals depict the historical sweep of the development of the concept of justice and its implementation. When I saw them, I recognized immediately that they were a visual representation of the development of civilization, not just justice, a visual representation of what we engage in our contemporary civilization course within the Columbia College core curriculum. The importance of the quest for justice is central to civilization. In fact, it defines, in many ways, civilization. And the importance of a system of laws built to provide a means to ensure justice is very clear at this podium tonight. 5 of the 8 people who are speaking at this podium are indeed lawyers. Lawyers are stewards of the law. As the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder was the most important of those stewards, the chief lawyer of the United States government. But law evolves as our quest for justice continues, a mark of the continuing development of civilization. That evolution sometimes requires pushing the boundaries of existing laws. And long before he was Attorney General, Eric Holder pushed boundaries. From his first moments on campus in 1969, Eric, in the tradition of passionate Columbia College students, stood up for what he believed was right. In his 2009 Columbia College Class Day address, Eric recalls, and I quote, "We got together and decided to peacefully occupy one of the campus offices. We felt passionately about the need for a place where Black students could gather, and we went ahead and staged our sit-in. As a result of those efforts, the Black Student Lounge was created, today known as the Malcolm X Lounge, in exactly the place where it was created by the efforts of Eric and his colleagues." Columbia is not just a place where we teach about civilization and justice and law in the core curriculum. Rather, institutionally and individually, we recognize and value and celebrate the importance of the continuing human quest for justice. Eric Holder emphasized that in his Class Day address, when in continuing the narrative of his peaceful sit-in, he said, "The person whom we had to negotiate with and whose office we also occupied later was Dean Henry Coleman. In the ultimate display of chutzpah, I later asked Dean Coleman to write my law school recommendations. This being Columbia, of course, he agreed. Eric concluded, "This is why I love this place." I want to symbolize both Dean Coleman's high regard and my own high regard for Eric by offering him a way to access my own office without ever having to organize a sit-in. I am offering him this key. It says, on one side, Dean's office, and on the other side, it says, "Only for use by Eric H. Holder, Jr., Columbia College, 73. Eric, this symbolizes that you are always welcome to occupy the office of the dean. Eric Holder has been a public servant in the sense that most of us use that term as meaning an officer of government for much of his career. But actually, public service has been his entire career. It has been public service in the way I advocate public service for all Columbia College graduates. As Eric himself explained, again in his 2009 Class Day address, quote, "Public service is not a career path to be chosen or avoided, nor is it an extracurricular activity for which only some will find time in their busy lives. I challenge each and every one of you today to recognize that you are all public servants with contributions to make to your communities and to the nation, regardless of your career choice. It is what Columbia people do." Eric Holder is most definitely Columbia people. I am honored to be the dean of the college of which he is an alumnus. I am blessed to be able to call him my friend. I first met Eric at Jonathan Schiller's house in October of 2012. Sitting next to me at dinner, Eric told me he wanted to do whatever he could to help Columbia College. He repeated that offer as we parted at the end of the dinner. The next day, I asked Eric to give the Dean's Day address at reunion. He agreed immediately, and he has done many other things to help me and to help Columbia College ever since. I hope he will continue to be involved in the life of our college and our university for as long as I am dean and well beyond. Thank you very much. The most important part of the evening, the medal ceremony, will begin shortly. Thank you.
Good evening. If folks could take their seats. My name is Lisa Carnoy, Columbia College 89 and University trustee. I also love Columbia. And as I sat on the tarmac for 3.5 hours this afternoon, I knew I did not want to miss this dinner. I wanted to see this incredible site. I wanted to hear Eric Holder. I wanted to meet Sharon. And I wanted to make it in time to introduce our president, Lisi Bollinger. President Bollinger became president of Columbia University in 2002. He's the 19th president, the longest serving in the Ivy League, and his bold vision has set us on an extraordinary course. When you think about the range of things, academic excellence across all of our schools and departments, a global presence here in New York City and across 5 continents with 8 global centers, cutting-edge research in neuroscience, big data, among many others, the largest capital campaign in Ivy League history, and next, Manhattanville, where it's no coincidence that we will open in the next couple years with our Center for Arts and Mind-Brain Behavior. In addition, President Bollinger is the first Seth Low Professor of the university, a member of the law school faculty, and one of the country's foremost First Amendment scholars. His most recent book is Uninhibited, Robust, and Wide Open, a free press for a new century. He's working on a new book, and I won't give that away, but it will be about solving very big issues in the context of a global university. He's passionate about free speech, he's passionate about Columbia College, and it's with a great honor that I introduce President Lisi Bollinger.
Thank you very much, as always, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Thank you very, very much, Lisa. This is, of course, one of the most special nights of the year. And Eric Holder is a very, very special and unique person. And I would like to try to say from my vantage point why I have felt so absolutely committed to Eric Holder over the period of time that he served as Attorney General of the United States, but
also as a trustee and a friend. Eric Holder is, the basic theme I want to say is a unique voice in American life, genuinely unique, and extremely important for being unique. I know a lot about affirmative action constitutional cases. There's a case to come before the Supreme Court. It'll be argued on December 9th that is the next sequel in this line of civil rights cases. This is also about affirmative action and a challenge to the policies of the University of Texas. And it's another defining moment for this issue in American life. Eric Holder is a person both of the college and of the law school, and I believe that those two institutions are in many respects interchangeable. And by that I mean that law in American life is incredibly important just for establishing the basic framework in which everything happens. But more importantly, law is the source, at its best, of ideals for the nation. And nowhere in that quest for ideals has it been more successful or more powerful than the beginning of Brown versus Board of Education and the effort to overcome discrimination and to achieve integration and the benefits of diversity in this country. That is really the lodestone of American law and the attempt to define ideals for this country. We are now at a moment in time when, apart from rights for gay and lesbian people, apart from that, most of what is happening is an effort to hold on to the work that has been done in a generation after Brown versus Board of Education. That's what this case that will be argued on December 9th is all about. Can we hold on to the efforts of colleges and universities, including most emphatically this one, to have diverse student bodies and to try to overcome the terrible legacies of this country and how it affects the present and how we can make a better future. There are two ways in which Eric's voice has been unique. The first is that over the past 2 decades, there has been a gradual sense in America that we live in a post-racial society, that the ideals of Brown versus Board of Education have more or less been met. And now it's time to move on. This idea has fierce and very aggressive advocates. That's why we are facing repeatedly attacks and efforts to overturn the Voting Rights Act and efforts to overturn affirmative action in American universities and colleges. What we are facing now at the university here and universities around the country is a kind of awakening that we are not even close to achieving those ideals. Our public school system is more segregated than it was in many parts of the country in 1960. We have painful evidence of the limitations of our criminal justice system. These are serious problems that we still face. Eric Holder is the one person in American life who has been willing to say that the context in which we are thinking about our lives, our public policy, the way we live, is still deeply infected with the issues of slavery, Jim Crow laws, and what Ira Katz Nelson called in his book, when affirmative action was for whites, the massive Marshall Plan level shift of resources of the GI Bill and the housing mortgage system after World War II, which went essentially to whites and not to blacks. And we are still living with that reality, and Eric Holder has made us aware of that. And the second is, when it comes to affirmative action and American universities and diversity, there was a critical moment in American history, as often happens, in the Bakke decision around 1980, in which the first affirmative action decision was rendered, and a famous opinion by Justice Powell said, affirmative action in American universities is constitutional if you say it's for educational benefits of diversity, but it's not constitutional if you say it is to remedy the past history of discrimination in the country. And at that moment, every college administrator in the United States began speaking abstractly and decontextualized about diversity as something that had nothing to do with the history or the role of the history in the present context, and about the need to overcome this, linking it to our ideals. And so Eric's voice, and it's a courageous voice, and it's an authentic voice, willing to say again and again that there is still the historical, inherited problems of discrimination that this nation must overcome, that we have to deal with, has been powerful in teaching us that affirmative action cannot be talked about in abstract terms of the benefits of diversity without putting it in that larger social meaning. So I have been involved in this. I have felt this intensely. And this is something that makes me incredibly proud for us to honor Eric Holder with the Alexander Hamilton Medal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're too kind. Are we taking pictures? Yep, taking pictures. Well, good evening. Hello. Good evening. There we go. You all have had enough to drink now. I have been an uncommonly fortunate man, graced with wonderful parents, lucky to find a true life partner. The fates have, in, I think, so many ways been very kind to me. I have a degree of pride in what I have achieved, and I'm hopeful that I have contributed and made some degree of positive change possible. I am unbelievably honored to be here tonight. This is, for me, extremely special, because this place is extremely special to me. President Bollinger, I appreciate your remarks. Dean Tini, who many of you might not know, in addition to being a chemist, a great dean, a great teacher, is also a car guy. And he's promised me, in addition to that key, that he's going to get a 1971 Plymouth Duster for me, my very first car, when I was a sophomore here, and we used that for road trips. I was looking for you, honey. I was looking for you. Didn't find her, but I was looking. And I certainly want to thank our dinner chairs, Bill Campbell, Jonathan Levine, Jonathan Schiller, Lanny Brewer. And Lanny, where's Lanny? It is hard to tell us apart, you know. It is very difficult. Thank you all for making this, this evening possible. I was saying before that I have been uncommonly fortunate. I was also blessed to have had the good fortune to attend the college at this great university. The early 1970s, when I was here with George Van Amsen, you know, don't worry, George, I'm not going to tell him the truth about the stuff that we did. The early 70s were really an extraordinary time to be a student here. The times they were a-changin'. Anti-war fervor, demonstrations, building takeovers. We had a nationally ranked basketball team. The end of something called paridals at Barnard. This was also confusing and exhilarating for the young men who entered Columbia with me in the fall of 1969. Over the next 4 years, we came in contact with great books, great teachers, great life experiences, and some really, really good, okay. No. It was a policy research project I was engaged in that would apply later on to decisions I had to make as Attorney General. You all are making an inappropriate connection here. I think you're reading this wrong, but so be it. So much of what I have become was shaped by my time here on Morningside Heights. My sense of myself and how I fit in the world was substantially impacted by all that Columbia allowed or appropriately forced me to confront. As a young man of color, the college gave me the space to ask really difficult questions, supplied me the materials to answer those questions, and was supportive, and as you heard, forgiving, when some of my answers led to actions that were not consistent with the rules and regulations. It seems to me but an instant ago that I was getting just original source material from Butler Library to do research on papers or checking out books to prepare for lectures by great professors like Eric Foner, a person who is not only a great professor, but who has become, to me, an iconic person. The research that he has done really defines and has explained our nation in a way that I think too many historians have been reluctant to do. I remember in his class, he said that the history of America in the 19th century was all about the black man. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty amazing statement. But I think that a more mature Eric, this Eric, a little more conversant with history than I was back then, I think that assertion is in fact true, and I think, as the President says, has a direct impact on the America that we have to deal with today, and we need to understand that. There were great professors, though. In my study of American history here, I came to appreciate, in addition to the issues of our nation, the promise of our nation. It's no better that there were unfortunate truths that had to be acknowledged and that too frequently had not been. My desire to be involved in the life of this country was stoked by experiences I had inside classrooms here, but also outside the gates of Morningside Heights in Harlem, and in a city in which I was born and raised, but I really got to know as a student here. My determination to play a role in making our nation more fair, more just, was really amplified by my experiences on this campus. Columbia College, I think, is the foundation of my professional life. In my mind's eye, I am still that young man, still questioning, still wondering, occasionally amazed by all in life that this place taught me to appreciate. That sense of remaining wonder, that thirst for knowledge is perhaps, I think, Columbia's greatest gift to me. In reality, I am older, I hope wiser. I have lost classmates and dear friends who were once young with me here. But whenever I enter this campus and proceed down College Walk, that reality recedes and I am transformed. I am reminded of how special this place was and is. And my desire to remain connected to Columbia goes beyond the desire to reclaim my earlier life. It is also about what the college, the law school, the university continue to mean to me and will mean to me as we work together on future prospects. Now, I am unspeakably proud to be honored by an institution I will always hold dear and by colleagues who will always remain friends. I have received some degree of recognition since I left the Department of Justice for the last time earlier this year. Now, all of the expressions of thanks that I have received have been sincerely appreciated by me. But to come home, to come to this special place and to be recognized in this way is for me truly an honor of a lifetime. I am beholden to Columbia College for so much. My life is now filled with more yesterdays than tomorrows. When one reaches a certain age, there is the tendency to look back, to assess. Though I am, I think, and Sharon will probably tell you this, an inherently nostalgic person, Columbia taught me that though life should be filled with an appreciation for the past, there must always be a focus on shaping the future. And Tennyson, I think, said it best. One of my favorite parts of a poem. It was introduced here to me during at home. We are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Never, ever to yield. And so we go on. We do not yield. We commit instead to trying to make a better future for more people. This is what Columbia people do. I look forward to working with all of you in the future as we try to make this country better, to make this world more fair. It is, as I said, what Columbia people do. Thank you all for sharing this very special evening with me.
Thank you, Eric. And so for your entertainment, I'd like to welcome up the Clefhangers onto stage now.
What if tomorrow brings sorrow or anything other than joy?
What if be wintry chill, rainstorm, or summer's thrill?
Tomorrow's the future, still this is today. Tomorrow's the future, still this is today.
One lost toast, every part written on every heart, this motto stay. Long may Columbia stand honored throughout the land.
Our alma mater, grand now and forever. Our alma mater, grand now and forever. To the ball, toward the blue wire. Deeds of fame made their name here at Old Columbia. Nowadays we can praise fighting teams again. Hear the lion roar his pride, while the men of Morningside follow the blue and white to victory roar. Lion roar, to wake the echoes of the hearts in tally. Fight on to victory evermore. While the sons of Knickerbocker rally round Columbia, Columbia, shouting her name forever.
Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, Eric. Have a good evening.